Welcome to episode 10 of Did You Say Something? In this episode, we are pleased to welcome a fantastic author who has great taste in voice actors. He has chosen Conor over me for a few roles now, just further proving to everyone how good his taste is. It's the one and only David Parker Ross. Oh, Conor, you're such a cut.
Point. Kind of a big deal.
Couldn't resist with my co-host Ron Burgundy over here.
The colonials are acting up again, damn it.
Shut up, Conor.
No comment.
I'm really just trying to make money off of Conor here.
You're right, but you're out of line.
Trying to have this not devolve into chaos.
I don't even know if there's anything usable in this. Some of it my fault.
We are here with David Parker Ross, creator and owner of Tairis Anders Media. We are a part of a couple of his projects. We'll be talking a lot of stuff through the TAM projects, as we like to call it, which is much easier to say than David's horrific first name, and that's hard to say because Conor doesn't speak very good English as an Englishman. We've grown to find that out on the show.
You're outnumbered by Englishmen now.
Yeah, there's two of us.
Pipe down, David. We'll get to you. Jesus.
It's not your turn to speak.
Conor, we've been super busy lately. I know that we like to kind of catch up a little bit. So in the immediate world, since the last episode, anything new that's going on in your life?
I can't remember if I had started session 9 or was about to start session 9 the last episode, but I have now started session 9. So far, so good. I'm kind of I think I'm into chapter 2 currently, and can't decide whether I want to do American voices for the main characters or not. The official novelization of a horror film that came out in 2001 of the same name, they're American. So I'm kind of like, does it make sense that they're English if I'm doing it? Or do I make everyone American?
You only have one, halfway decent American accent anyway.
I mean, that's just a little bit fucking rude, isn't it? I'm trying my hardest over here.
It's Irish immigrant. Still has the touch of the Irish and then American.
Anyway, session 9 is underway. I have another project. I've just had another author hit me up and ask if I would like to work with them as well, which should be good fun. Still need to audition for that one, but, waiting on the audition to be sent over. Yes, lots of things have happened, Matt. I'm so sorry. And soon to be started is the next audio drama of David's, I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
It's busy.
Indeed.
What about you, fuckface? What have you got going on?
No, honestly, the time thing was, how's your schedule looking? Because we've talked several times in the past about Conor severely overscheduling himself. But as we have said, and we mentioned, I know we said this in the last couple episodes, but seriously, this is the lane we want to be in. We want to be so busy that we are just going about star craving nuts. But that's where you want to be as a voice actor, because that's the only way to keep afloat.
It's healthy for the voices in here.
It is. You get them out.
Yeah.
Prior to contrary belief, people who don't know how the voice acting world goes, we don't get paid a lot, right? We're very happy to get paid and all that, but sustaining a full life, David, we'll get to your shit pay in a minute. So we'll making faces at me, fucker. No, really. Most voice actors, even your most predominant ones, are insanely busy and constantly have all of these projects going on in order to fulfill, that paycheck, to pay rent and have the heat on and all of those things. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time and sacrifice. So, just in a couple of weeks, Conor's already, moved around and added all these things on his slate. As have I. I do have a book coming out soon. I still can't quite release the name and what that's going, but I can say it is from a major magazine publication. They're trying something new, and we're hoping that this is going to be a huge success. It was a lot of fun to narrate. Conor did get to hear a bit of a sample of that, and
it put me to sleep.
A compliment. Well, it's because my voice is so soothing that it just puts the little baby to sleep.
We can go down that line. But no, I did give you a compliment. You actually developed a storytelling narration voice rather than just monotone and flat, which was, who fucking knew you had it in you? I didn't. I thought you were
Hey,
doomed.
Right, that's fine. And then David saw it because, of course, I shouldn't pass anything through Conor. And David actually has cast me as a narrator. So kiss my ass, Conor, and we'll talk about that one later as well. But no, we got the podcast going on. I just finished a big belt exam, kind of a show performance thing. We did that yesterday, so that's been really busy in outside of the world of voiceover. And yeah. Lots of other projects and stuff in the tow that we can't talk about because NDAs are real, and people generally don't play around with NDAs, except for David. David doesn't give a shit. Tell everybody about what I'm doing in 2045.
It's all promo.
But honestly, it seems to be working because Tam is gaining a lot of traction from a lot of viewers on all the promos that David does, which is about 75 a week. I think my entire feed. There's no shock now at the top of my phone when it's David Parker Ross has posted. David Parker Ross has posted a story. David Parker Ross has mentioned you in a post.
You know it's a David video, and the first thing that happens is you get flashbanged by colors. Oh, fucking yep, cool. What is it? New project. I can hear it.
I think David found CapCut and just went old man ape shit on new shit.
It's when your granddad discovers the internet.
Got him.
As you guys know, we don't care. Well, no, we do care about our guests, obviously, but nobody is safe on this show, especially when they give as good as they get. And David is right up there with people that give as good as they get. It's all from a place of love.
Yes.
The first time we pretend it's all from a place of love. The first time I had a proper chat.
That's the PR part.
That's the PR part. Yeah. It's good. We got to get that out of the way. Make people think that we actually like each other's company. We can go back to hating each other after this is done. But no, the first conversation I had with David, it was almost like the Englishman came back out of him because he'd obviously had to suppress it being over in America with their thin skin and their inability to understand sarcasm and all that sort of stuff. So first thing he did was start giving me shit, and obviously I started giving him shit back, and that was the start of our ongoing professional friendship? Feud. No, I fucking love that. So I suppose we should probably talk a little bit about what you've got going on, David. We didn't just we did kind of get you on the show to give you shit, but we do want to hear about...
What I'm here is you're going to let me talk about anything except stuff. I'm going to sit there and be silent while you give me shit. all of my talk is going to be muted out and edited. And it's just going to be you sitting there with me looking like a gormless prat while you shout abuse at me.
Everyone's just going to be staring at the screen going, why did they get a ghost on?
Little story about this is my hair was completely black without any grey about a year ago. 2 years ago.
Isn't that when you started working with me?
I literally, just before I met you, so you can't be blamed for this one. And literally, I had a big tuft of hair suddenly fell out of my head. And I looked like something out of either The Walking Dead or Fallout. So I shaved my hair off. And then I decided I did that for a couple of weeks, like completely shaved my hair and beard off. And when it started growing back, it was completely white. Overnight, completely white. And I looked it up and I've talked to my doctor. They all tell me it's impossible. But literally, I didn't even have a single grey hair.
It was just hiding underneath.
It was just underneath. So yeah, so suddenly now I've got this, Santa look going on.
You want to know what, David? About a year ago, I had a full head of full luscious hair, and then I met Conor. Now it's thinning, and I have to shave.
Conor.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I will say though that by Conor being around us, I believe he has grown an inch. And that's saying something. Because some,
my feet,
you know what I mean. Some grows adolescent.
Aren't you in growing an inch while he's around us, aren't you?
That's a different conversation. Remember we were talking
That's
about
the after show.
It's a little different. Yeah. All right. So I did want to, on a little bit more of a serious note, David, do talk to you about your production company and your
Sure.
works. I'm sure you've had this conversation before. I'm going to start out a little bit towards the beginning. So I'll give you to say, where, or I should say, when did you start writing passionately and start making that a full-time gig for yourself?
I started writing passionately from the age of 12 and continued right up into basically my 40s. And then I've got addicted to a game called Star Wars The Old Republic. And I played that for 10 years without writing a thing. 10 years with it. I've still got my character there. I still go back and play occasionally, but I managed to get over the addiction. But it became an obsession of mine, The Old Republic. And except for those 10 years, I've written constantly. Back in the 90s, I did actually get a publishing contract with HarperCollins for Miss Eve and the City of Men. Unfortunately, I was only 22 at the time, and I was arrogant, and I didn't agree with my editor on changes she wanted made. And basically, they told me, I said, fine, we don't want to do it anymore, and I got my contract cancelled. And I thought, oh, wow. Okay, well, I screwed that one up, didn't I?
Yep.
I didn't think that was going to happen. I'm the writer. Everything I say goes. I write it. You want to publish it? You publish what I write. Don't tell me to change story things and things like that. So anyway,
you wouldn't understand my creative vision.
So I never tried to test it. That's exactly the little diva that I was, and I still am to some degree.
I was going to say, what do you mean was?
I do take criticism now a lot better than I did. And when I say take criticism, I've always been able to take criticism. If someone disagrees with my storyline, then that's when I get a little bit, well, I'm bloody well right. It's my my editor is someone most of you probably know, Tegan Burke. And she's become very much, into one of the characters that she actually narrates in the books. And she will literally argue with me about what this character is going to do in future books. No, she won't do that. She won't do that. And I think, she does whatever the fuck I like. She's my character.
Not anymore. That's Tegan's character.
Handstand. No, some very funny conversations because she gets very passionate. But then, I was very, very anti-independent publishing. I thought it was just, basically if you, don't want to offend anyone here, but I just thought, you're just people who can't get published. It was only when I made a friend, Catherine, ironically another Australian, got talking about it, and I thought, well, what the heck? I'm freaking 53 when I did it. I'm either going to do it now or I'm going to be dead. And so let's just do this self-publishing thing. And I honestly haven't looked back. In 2 years, I've published 14 books.
Yes, you have.
So, admittedly, 3 of those were written before the publishing, so it's not over 2 years. 4 of them were, but still done 10 books in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, nevertheless, right? That's still the amount of work that you've put in in that time.
I've got a very much a formula of how I write. First of all, I plot everything chapter by chapter by chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then I go to my boring day job. I retired from, I used to run my own IT company, and I retired, and I've got like this first level support job now as something to keep me out of trouble. So I go and I spend my day doing my mundane work, thinking about what I'm going to write the next day. I then get up at 4 a.m., drive down to the 7-Eleven, which is the only place around here that's open at 4 a.m., unless you want to eat McDonald's. 7-Eleven's not much better. But get some food, some coffee, and then I actually dictate. I don't actually type. I get my phone sitting there on my steering wheel, and I sit there having conversations with myself, which is why I get so many conversations. And I literally will dictate 8,000 to 10,000 words in a day. And when you think a book is 8,000 words, That Girl from Wagga, my most successful book, I completed in 7 days.
Jeez.
So
It's interesting because there's a couple points there. One, obviously, by dictating, you can get so much more work done than even just typing or physically writing, right? And then, two, it also explains why Tegan is a lot of the way she is, because she has to edit your dictation. Because I'm going to say, so I work in IT as well. Conor pretends like he works in IT. Conor manages IT people.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. But I've been in IT for 20 years, and I understand. And I actually work in a medical clinic, so I work with providers dictating every day and having issues with their programs. And I've seen some of the problems that come with that. I mean, we've all used voice to text as it is, which is essentially dictating, right? And it's shit
Yeah,
for the most part.
It is shit until you train it.
Right. But that takes quite a bit of time.
It really helped when I found out after a while that I could switch it to British English, because I was dictating in American English and the number of fuck-ups were unbelievable. And then I suddenly know, oh, look, there's a set I can switch to British English, and it suddenly got better. But after a while, it actually starts learning from what you're doing. It learns how you talk and how you plan. If you correct things immediately, eventually it'll pick up, oh, this is what you're saying.
Yes.
Even my spellings, like if I kept saying Conor, it'll put 2 N's in Conor. But if I keep correcting it, eventually it'll start putting 1 N in Conor, because it knows that's what I want. And so a lot of people say, I tried it, but I can't like it. It took 4 months for me to get it perfect. And even now it's pretty...
It's not.
Now, I still have to sit down in the evening when I come home from work and turn it into something that's legible.
Yeah.
And but, pretty much that's the process. It's get the story down on the page. Then I go back. I don't even say he said, she said. I can almost write it like a script. Some of the books when having conversations, and I'll just say, open parentheses Stacey, open parentheses Conor, open parentheses Matt, and then I'll go in and say he said while scratching his head and whatever afterwards. But it's a good process if you like to plan. But a lot of writers don't like to plan; they like to go on an adventure.
Right. Well, yeah, I know that that is one way of writing, is be taken on a journey by your characters, isn't it? Like I see a lot of things on TikTok of writers going, I had this planned, but my main character decided to do this.
That happens.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just...
It's hard to explain to people who don't write. It happens. Because you get, especially if you write in the first person, you get very invested. Your head gets into the headspace of that character. You got to think, like writing my example with that girl from Wagga. She's a 20-year-old Australian girl, absolutely nothing in common with me, who's a 55-year-old Englishman. And so you've got to get in the headspace of being a 19-year-old Australian girl. Now, you can't do that completely, which is why I've got an Australian editor and Australian proofreaders who are all female, and some of them are that age group, and they will come back and tell you, no way would an Australian girl say that, mate. Fuck you, cunt.
The fuck you talking about, dickhead? No.
Yeah. It's pretty funny to listen, like when Tegan gets like riled up, just how hardcore that Australian comes out in her, and she's very vulgar.
They all are. It's like, one of the things is, my wife's not overly happy with the amount of profanity in my books, and I said I cannot write an Australian character because, like, the C word is, I don't know if it's still the same in England now, but it is considered like the worst word you can say apart from the N word nowadays, which you're never going to use in a book ever. But you can't, the C word is not typically used in most books.
No.
Is if you've got an Australian character there. And literally, most of the profanity you'll find in my books and in the script of Above and Beyond, most of the profanity from Stacey is added by Tegan.
Which is so not fucking fair. Because I get that I get Felkar is he's a little bit he's polite, a bit shy-ish. I mean, he's out there with the ladies, which is where acting comes in, people. But before these two fuckers get that,
he's literally the only character that never says "fuck" in the entire series,
and I fucking hate it because I swear.
It says it once when they shoot the locator in his head, and then he apologises and gets embarrassed.
Yes, I did. I did have fun recording that line. A lot of fun.
That's a really good segue
about
too.
17 times just to make up for the lack of it in other parts.
You just wanted to say it.
In case people like talking about this getting confused because we moved from books to the drama, is Perceptions Above and Beyond is a dramatization based on 4 of the Perceptions books, which is the first 3 and the 9th one. No, 9th. because Charlotte Kensit jumps back in time to cross over. Because the whole idea of perceptions is it's coming from a different viewpoint from every different character, and there's a lots of crossing over. Now, I don't mean I'm repeating everything, but sometimes things get repeated, but you see it in a different version. Some of the books, like Michael Felkar, Hero Worships Jenna Plurals. So when you read the first book, she's a wonderful hero. Then you read other characters where they don't like her. She's not so much a hero, but you see the same situations from a different perspective. Like, we can get off here and, like, Tig might call me and say, "Oh, what did you talk about?" And I could tell her the conversation. The conversation is not going to be the same as what we had because we're not going to remember it correctly.
Yeah,
but I'm going to interpret, and I'm biased. If I don't like Conor, but I like Matt, I would go away with probably a memory that Matt does a better job than Conor because I've got that perception in my head.
Hold on, wait. Those are just facts, David.
No, that's disillusioned is what that is.
That was the idea behind perceptions, and it only came about because the first book was supposed to be a standalone. I wasn't planning it. I write fantasy. I didn't write science fiction. Jenna Plural Wants You was the first science fiction I'd written, and I'd done it for NaNoWriMo one year, which I no longer associate with because of their AI stance. And I wrote it for NaNoWriMo 1 year, and when I went to publish, my best book I've ever written is The House of Maine. I was too scared to publish that as my first thing, because once you publish a book, self-published, the chance of you ever get it published by a traditional publisher is gone. They won't touch it. End of story. You've put it out there. We don't want it, especially if you're a new author, you know. And so I didn't want to put that out. So I said, "Oh, let's put out Jenna Plural Wants You." And everyone's coming back to me, "Oh, that's great, that cliffhanger ending, you know, when are you going to continue it?" And that's the whole point. The whole twist at the end of it is supposed to be you realise Jenna is not the virtuous hero you thought she was in that final speech at the end of the book. And that's supposed to be the twist, and that's the end. So everyone's saying to me, you know, sort of like, "Oh, we need to do another one." And I sat there and thought about it, and I thought, okay, I will do another one. And the idea was I was going to sit down and it was going to be Felkar continuing the story. But the book ends literally with Felkar having a desk job.
Oh,
you know, he's literally the Minister for Civil Affairs in this new government. He literally can't do anything that's going to be vaguely interested in a story. And so I sat and thought about it. I thought, okay, I've got to write it from the point of view of another main character. Shit, Michael Felkar is the only male main character. I'd never written from a female perspective before. And I sat there thinking, but if I'm going to do a sequel to this, it has to come from a female perspective. And obviously it had to be Stacey, because Stacey is one of my all-time favourite characters. So I did it, and I went back into her back. The first half of the book goes into her backstory, how she met Jenna, before she met Jenna, the destruction of Australia. Because in the original book, I had to come up with an excuse why this Australian was serving with the US Marines. So literally there's only one line, her country fell to the enemy. But now I'm writing the sequel, I've got to find out why the country fell and all this other stuff. And the universe is starting to expand in my head.
Yeah.
Because I've got to justify comments that were literally MacGuffins to move the story along. You know, these MacGuffins now have to be real things.
Yes.
And that was it. And I suddenly thought, well, let's do this with a different character after that. Now, I should have stuck to Stacey Grant. She is my best-selling book. 40% of my readers are in Australia. So Australians out there, I love you. So
The rest of us tolerate you.
Then it's it's sometimes interesting. It's a hard concept to get across that this is, and the hardest thing also is to. Sorry, I'm doing a Tegan. I'm not shutting up, am I?
No, you're all good. We're just berating Australians silently.
Don't use that line. Don't use that line. She will kill me.
Oh no, we will. Oh, Tegan. Tegan knows she knows she's bad for it, because she literally starts most conversations going, if I start talking too much, just tell me to shut up. And then you're like, oh no.
She's embarrassingly self-conscious of it too, though.
But then you do the nice thing of, oh, that's not going to happen. And 5 minutes in, you're like, Tegan, shut up.
Yes. I like that you segued into that, David, because I was definitely starting to get Tegan vibes from you. So let's. No, it's good. I mean, in all seriousness, no, really good content there. I since joining this world of narration and authors and all of that, I really enjoy as an actor getting into the head of the creator to understand the characters better. And even in my position where I'm playing a lot of off characters, throwaway characters, or whatever they say, whatever the term is, which doesn't bother me. I like it because as you know, I am Tam's own Sean Bean. Thank you. My best characters are dying roles. I do, but so the nice thing that I like about it though is with this community that's been built with Tam is how well people get along and in a real sense where we have conversations and everybody is giving everyone shit and it doesn't matter what your role is. And there's a lot of companies where, no one would dare talk to you like that. You know what I mean? Like there's no way, but it makes it real for us and we get to be people and work together. And I think that's making the content so much better.
One of the things is back in my days in IT running my own business, I've worked with people who I'm paying, and there tends to be this attitude is like, he's the big boss, we can't piss him off. Yes, you can piss me off. If you're not happy with something, piss me off. I may not agree with you. Yeah, if Conor's not happy about something, he'll come and tell me, but we knew Conor long before Tam even started. But people I've known beforehand are like that, but it's like people do have this attitude of like, they can't upset me. Well, not worrying about upsetting me upsets me, that's why I do also, I do say to people, if you've got a problem, you don't have to talk to me. You can go and talk to Danielle Laguerre or Tegan about issues, and they often feel more comfortable because they're also narrators. There is very much this kind of like, there's authors on this side, narrators on this side, and I'm on this side, and I'm literally the only, apart from narrators that also write, but let's just go from people who are pure narrating new things, I'm the only writer there in that entire production server. With 22 narrators, and you're very, very bonded. That's one thing I've noticed on this TikTok. You're very, very bonded. You're part of the same thing. It's really difficult to get into a conversation with narrators because you start talking shit about your taggly woggles, microphones, and your wibbly wobblies, and I can't get my zippity doo-dahs done. And I'm sitting there sort of thinking, well, talking about. And then they start showing their funny lines on the screen, and I'm sort of like, yeah, okay. I just want to hear a really good story.
That is the only way I'm going to refer to any
wibbly wobblies and zippity doo-dahs. David, you just that is the second time in this show you just went full old man on us. It's great. I don't know how they work damn doodads, but I really
I was working in IT when networking was throwing a floppy disk across the desk.
Well, that's what's funnier about it is you've been in IT for so long, so I know you're technical.
It's not talking about it's not talking about the computers. You're talking about sound references and recording references. I've never been involved in that. It's like when I started with doing Pandemic, which was originally it was just a little passion project. I just wanted to do this for the shit fun.
Hold on, before we go straight into let's give it a proper fucking light for what it deserves because. If we're gonna start moving away, we're gonna fucking segue because we're all squirrely. But if let's preface this with what it needs to be. Pandemic is fantastic. We've had sneak peeks of it. David's writing was, okay. Everybody's performance was fucking fantastic. And then what Nels did was he really brought David's writing up just through our voices alone to make it all sound fantastic. It's good, and it's out now.
It's not out now.
He managed to make Conor sound good.
Yeah, it's by the time we broadcast, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah. It's not out now, but it will be out now.
When you're watching this now. if
but yes, passion project.
Spotify fix it. It's still not running.
Is it still not running?
No. I've got a ticket into Spotify and I've been waiting 4 days now. It comes out on Tuesday. And it's not working. They uploaded it. But I've had an audiobook come out after that as well, and it's working fine. But all you can play is the 4-minute retail sample. And people are going to start, if you start playing it or play the retail sample, people are going to think it's 4 minutes long.
Right.
Yeah.
About 50 minutes long.
It is 50 minutes long.
So when I decided I'd come up with this, again, it was most of my conversations here will start with when I was talking to Tegan. I was talking to Tegan, and I always, because I've been a big fan of, do you know a company called Big Finish?
Can't say
They
I do.
make all the Doctor Who audio dramas.
Oh, okay.
They bring back the old Doctor Who's from years ago and record new stories. They've got over 500 Doctor Who's out there now. And they do Blake Seven and a lot of other old British traditional 70s and 80s, bringing back the original actors from the 70s and 80s to do these audios. Big fan of them. Now, I was saying to you, I'd love to do a something similar with Perceptions. And we got talking about it, and I came with this idea, and she introduced me to Nels. I didn't know Nels at the time. And I got talking to Nels, and didn't really know what he was capable of. I'd heard some of the Hellscape and thought, fantastic. The Hellscape is really worth listening to if anyone's out there, if you like horror.
Sorry, continue. That's a prompt for Jake to put it. Jake, put in a fucking link somewhere.
Okay.
Over Matt's face again, because.
But I got talking to Nels, and I realised he was talking about flibbly flobs and bibbly bobs, and I can do a squawky squacky. I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about.
Nobody squibbity squacks better than Nels.
Yeah, right. So I went back to Tegan, and I said, okay, I don't think I can work with Nels. She goes, why not? Because I don't understand what the fuck he's talking about. And this is, I can't produce this. This is going to be absolutely impossible. And she said, and she was really into it. She said, no, we've got to find a way. We've got to find a way. And I kind of seriously, not seriously said, well, we could do it if you produce it. She said, okay. And she took over. So, one of the things is got to say that this pandemic wouldn't be what it is without a team. Literally, all I did in pandemic was cast it, give some direction on characters, and write the script. What brings it alive is the phenomenal performance for everybody plus Conor, and the sounds, the sound effects he used. It was so you got to listen to this with headphones on. Seriously,
100%.
Stereophonic, surround sound. You hear people across the room. They are across the room. You literally will find yourself looking up to see where they are. Thinking someone's come in your room or something. And the actual end result was, absolutely blew my mind. I was expecting to be good. I've been hearing snippets of it over time, but it was always with something missing. Like he'd play it and there's no music, and I didn't know if he was going to put the music all the way through it. I gave him a budget for music because he composes all the music himself. So I gave him a budget for music. Let's do this, but it's got to be something that we can reuse in Above and Beyond, because I'm not, despite what many people think, I'm not an open pocket of money. I'm just fortunately was in a career where I could save a lot and do my little fantasy now, living out my fantasies. But even before we finished that, I turned around and said to Tegan, I said, I want to do Jenna Plua Wants You as an audio book. And when I started, and it was going to be like 7 or 8 episodes, condense it down, boom, boom, boom. But again, when I went back to it, there's bits that cross over between the other books, and you've got it's all missing. Like all the Emma Dodson stuff is, you find out Hardy's dead. Like I remember Rhodey, who's playing Hardy. He read the book, and he came back at me so pissed off. Said, "I die off screen." And he's so upset about this. And I said, "Get to book 3. There's a whole chapter on you having Andy Eloise beat the shit out of you." Because you just literally see, someone turns around and says, "Where's Hardy? He didn't make it, man." And, it's assumed that he's been killed in battle, but he hasn't. He's had his genitals mutilated and various beatings from Emma Dodson.
I do have to say, Andy's Dodson is mwah. She's so good, and I am very proud, and thank you very much to offer me the role of being the one that helps to create that psychopath. it's right up my alley, and I cannot wait for that role. I think that's going to be.
Oh, you're talking about the Dodson special.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. You're the guy who dies in the toilet.
Yeah.
Memorable Matt. There we go.
Yeah, that's what
Hey,
it
look,
is.
I've been cast in about 4 different productions with the same cast members. You know, Matt is playing 6 roles in Miss Eve and the City of Men.
Mhm.
I can't remember, you know, everybody who's doing what. To be honest with you, because
I mean,
I'm going through the castings, and I'm thinking, literally, it might come across as insulting, but a lot of times I'll turn around and because I've got my list of characters, there's some performers are more versatile than others.
Yeah.
So
Case in
I'm
point.
limited by the people that I believe are versatile enough to play 6 characters. So a lot of it, as I was going through it, I said, "No, in Miss Eve, I'm going off a tangent here on something else," but I literally turned around and said, you know, sort of like, okay, this is either going to be Matt or Dennis. This is Matt Dennis. Then I realized, oh, Dennis is playing that other character. So this is Matt. Boom. End of story. Move on. And also, there's become the tradition that Matt has to play nearly everybody who can die if we can do it. So he always has that front runner for a death roll. Fortunately,
Hey, which is,
generally don't die. So,
but in your books, that's limitless roles. There's so many people who die.
It will go on beyond half the cast members here will, if you went actually read the books up to where I am now, book 10, most of the characters you will see playing in this role are dead.
I did want to chat a little bit more about Eve, and then we're going to move on to a couple different the other projects here. With Eve, I do say one of the most fun characters this year that I've got to audition for, and I never thought I would ever audition for, was a piece of furniture. That is one of the coolest things, and just how the word, you know what I mean, the lines that you wrote and all that was hilarious to me. It gave me you know, Sirius's house and Harry Potter vibes, you know what I mean? But
I
I
wrote
think
it long before Harry Potter.
sorry, what?
I said I wrote it long
Did you say
before
something?
Harry Potter.
I
Miss Eve was written in the 90s.
But okay, so Rowling stole that from David Parker Ross. So you heard it here on this.
Yes.
All right.
Heard it here first.
So tell us about how did that idea of the furniture come about?
So Miss Eve and the City of Men was short stories I used to write for a bunch of friends in the early days of the internet, and they just used to go out in a thing called Yahoo Groups, which no longer exists.
I remember.
And they were supposed to be funny little tales, and all the characters were based on real people. They had their real names and everything in there, and it was just my piss take of people there. There was also, back in the 90s, Miss Eve was a piss take out of the way women were portrayed in fantasy, because back then, now 90% of fantasy is female author dominated. They're very well represented, but back then they weren't. They were always these sappy little damsels in distress. And, you know, I have a penchant for liking tough women in stories, because you'll notice every one of my leading characters is female. Even Felkar's book, he is the Dr. Watson to Jenna Sherlock Holmes. He's telling the story, but she's the star. And anyway, so these short stories and the furniture came about because I wrote this one story called, which appears in the book. There are 13 stories that link together to make the book. And it was called The House on the Hill. And it's where this character who's an Amazon slave and this woman, it's Luca, who's actually going to be played by Conor, which is why he got ruled out of auditioning for the furniture that he wanted to, goes into this house, and there's ornaments on the fireplace, these little faces that are carved out of stone. And they all start talking to them in this sort of like obnoxious way, and they're singing dirty limericks. Because when you do it, you're going to have to get online with the other 3 and record these limericks singing together, because you're not going to have it synced. So we'll work all that out later. And it was basically at the end of the story, not to be too spoilerish, Miss Eve's solution is, right, we're not just going to smash these things, we're going to move them and put them over different parts of the house, and they're going to become our security system if anyone wants to come into the house. So then you end up with the front door, the banister, the back door, and the upstairs, and that's why I've named them, because they don't have names. So when it came to casting it, I turned around and says, who wants me a piece of furniture? I need a front door, a banister, a back door, and the upstairs. And
I think I think that was the most reacted and commented
was.
on audition you put out.
was.
I want to be a front door.
I want to see Matt Mangum, the front door, the top of his resume.
I do have to say, though, the writing for that was hilarious. Like, I think I cracked up laughing like 4 times just trying to record it. Because in my head, I'm going, could I imagine walking up to this house and the goddamn front door starts like yelling at me and berating me? Like, it's amazing.
The thing is, they're supposed to be, because the whole thing's a farce of this Eve. They're fighting against Aztecs. Amazons are supposed to have existed 2,000 years before Aztecs, and they're in South America. It doesn't fit anything historical. It's totally farcical. And these are supposed to be Carpathian demons. And they can't learn good manners. And they don't like what they're doing, but they know that the alternative is Eve's going to smash them up into little rubble. And when I came to doing the scripts, I needed to have some sort of I have to have a narrator, which is Rhodey's playing this. I created this new character called Taffy. And then I came up with this idea that, let's make him more part of the story. He's telling it from 30 years later, but unlike Above and Beyond, he will actually get interrupted while he's telling the story. So in the middle of the episode, you've had a conversation. So he's basically been looking after this house now for 10 years. Something's happened. The Amazons haven't been in this embassy for 10 years, and he's been looking after the house. But he knows a new ambassador's coming. And it literally starts off with this little Taffy cleaning the house, rushing around, very Bilbo Baggins-like. I've got company coming. Oh, shit. And they end up turning up early. And literally one of the opening scenes will be Matt screaming at Essie Zell and Jasmine Wallace, "You fucking whores!"
I'm sure Jazz will love that.
That's fucking brilliant.
So a lot of the times when they speak, they are just purely offensive, and I try to make it very sort of like Shakespearean style of incident. "You rancid whores from hell, be gone from this door, or you will burn for 1 billion years in the cesspit of whatever," And that's the sort of performance I'm hoping to get. Is this sort of those when they show Shakespearean actors overacting.
Mm-hmm.
Friends, Romans, and countrymen, really over the top. It's but there's a scene where they sort of get a little bit more goofy, because when they're discussing it, they start because they're putting on an act of this scariness, but they do actually start talking, and they're like little nerds, amongst themselves, and they argue with each other.
Nice.
So when I decided to do this new beginning bit, I had to bring them in because they're going to be in the house when these people arrive if it's 10 years later. And I thought, oh shit, I've got to reveal the talking furniture long before they actually appear. So you'll meet the talking furniture and make absolutely no sense why they've got talking furniture until you get to the episode where they first arrive at the house and meet the furniture for the first time. And they were fun, whimsical characters that are going to be fun to play, and they'll crop up every so you'll end up finding you'll get 1 or 2 lines in an episode. Anytime someone comes to the door, you're shouting abuse. That's like the doorbell. It's like the Ring doorbell with an abuse setting.
I need that needs to be a thing.
I'm here for that. So whenever you want to put that front door in there, I'm absolutely here for that.
We can't come to the door right now, so fuck off.
So the person interacting with them will be the only really good guy male apart from Paladin is Luca. He is a slave who's owned by the state. He's the property of the queen. And he's what they call an artisan slave, a rarity. He knows how to read and write because none of the females know how to read or write. So he has to read all their letters for them and all their communications and write everything. But the 2 slaves that are going to do all the domestic work will get killed in the second episode on their way there. So poor Luca has to do everything. He cooks, he cleans, he helps them put their boots on, and does all this thing. But he's also a tough little nut because he does get involved in a fight where he defends the Amazons several times. And he's very incredibly loyal. The concept It's like Tegan was saying, why don't these men rise up? Because they've got no concept of anything different. You know, Luca's in an honoured position where he is. He feels proud of his role. And he spends a lot of time with Dia, who's actually from this city of men. So she's got a totally different outlook on women. It's, you know, women do knitting and sewing, not play with swords, sort of thing. He spends a lot of time with this character, played by Rebecca Valderrama. And she's trying to understand the Amazon way of life. And Luca is her guide, although he's really uncomfortable because she expects him not to bow and scrape to her. And she makes him feel very uncomfortable because she's asking him things he's not supposed to comment on. And there's some fun shenanigans with that.
I think I likened Luca in my head to Alfred somewhat.
Very much.
Takes care of all the domestics and then will kick ass when needed. And as soon as I made that connection, I was like, yeah, I want this role.
Very early on, he steps out. You've got this thing where they're attacked and they're all like scattered, and Luca steps out with a crossbow while they're fighting and shoots people in the back of the head. And,
nice.
you know, you know, sorry, the poor guy's not going to survive to the end. I've got to tell you,
spoilers.
If you think I kill a lot of people off in Above and Beyond, that's nothing to Miss Eve. There are only two main characters that are actually still alive at the end of Miss Eve. Everyone else most of the stuff will wipe out. So,
but yeah, I look forward to doing a dying role. Matt, I'll be coming to you for some inspiration.
Matt's our expert on dying.
Yes, it's an art.
I'm going to change your tag in the Discord server to, you know, dying coach.
David, please add that to the server on my name.
I will. I can do that right now.
I was just like, I'll stop that. Please do that. So that's a good transition too. So we definitely look forward to Pandemic's going to be fantastic. Eve is going to be just. And then you've mentioned it several times, and obviously a huge tie-in is Above and Beyond, and that's how I got associated with you. And I hate thanking Conor for anything, but I do appreciate Conor for introducing us. I've had a blast and very excited to play my roles there.
You can't take entire credit because I was following you long before Conor ever introduced us, so I've been following your various attempts at auditions. And I didn't mean to say attempts. I did not mean.
No, you got it spot on. That is 100% the best way to describe Matt.
I can't.
He attempts,
but I can't tell you how much I love that relationship, David. Honestly, like if we can't have this kind of relationship, though, we're not going to get as much out of each other in this. You know what I mean? So it's great to have that like with you. And you're right. There are a lot of attempts at auditions. I am a voice actor. We get one out of like every 100 roles we audition for. So
the way I look on it with working with Tam, though, is I don't see myself as a boss. If there's any bosses there, it's Daniela and Tegan. They're the bosses. We are a team, though. We are all doing this because, you know, I know that I'm hoping to make a profit out of this for obvious reasons. You know, it's a heavy investment. Above and Beyond alone is going to cost $18,000. Okay, so we're going to want to see a return on it. That's why I'm saying because we are talking about productions ahead of time, but it's all going to be, you know, it could fall flat on its face and I could lose a lot of money. But the idea is we're going to be successful, and you know, you guys stick with me. I'll take you with me if we get this going. This is not just some guy who's doing a vanity project anymore. Pandemic was a vanity project. This is going to be. I want to be up. We take Tam up there with any other audio producers out there. We're going to be the best. We're going to start. We've already started producing Scarlet by Kaylee Hilton. That's going to be a narrated read. It's going to be broadcast as episodes. Done a deal with her. We pay for the production of the audiobook. We get to podcast it for 2 years, and then she gets the audiobook to do with what she likes. This is how we're going to be moving forward. We want to work with other writers. It's not going to be just my stuff. You know, this is just what we're starting with. You know,
Mhm.
We're going to be original content, up and out there, and we want to be the best. And what I've got so far is the best.
And I'm telling you, from the sneak preview of Pandemic, and it just it's so good. And it really is not blowing smoke. It's so good. And then I've known Nels for a couple years now, and working with him, and just because I did want to touch on Nels and how great he really is.
Yes,
the
absolutely.
amount of stuff that So Gross Productions does, you probably wouldn't realize how much he really does and works with a lot. So Nils is the audio engineer for Bewilder Biscuit Productions. So all of our animated comics.
Yes, I know, because he gets Bewilder Biscuit stuff done faster than mine.
Yeah, but I mean, for the fact that he can do audio dramas, he's been an engineer on 48-hour audio dramas. He's done, obviously does his Hellscape. He's doing our animated comics, and now, he's working with Tam as well. It's just the range and what he's able to do, and they all sound individual and unique to that project, and that's priceless. To have his touch on it is priceless. I really believe that Tam is going to be very successful.
Nels is going to be working on Above and Beyond and Artemis. Nels is going to be working on all the Perception stuff that comes out, and he's also going to be doing Artemis. We have got a different engineer, a producer for Miss E, which is going to be Rhodey.
Shit. Did I miss an update?
Yes, you did. Several. The fact that it says Rhodey-producer on his Discord whenever you're talking to him might have been stand out a bit.
You're asking Conor a lot to pay attention to detail, David.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually chatting to Rhodey last night about that. He was on a live, and we were chatting, and Daniela was in there, and we were chatting, and that's what he was saying. Is he was really excited, and then he was also super stoked that because Nels is also really easy to work with. As busy as he is, he'll answer anybody's questions and help out. And so, but Rhodey's a really good audio engineer in his own right. So I'm looking forward to Eve as well. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, there was no way we would have been able to do both Eve and Above and Beyond at the same time and ask Nels to do it. As you say, he's got Bewildered Biscuit, which I'm still waiting for an invite to help write for. And sorry.
Good soup.
That was a total segue into me finding work with you rather than the other way around. But
I'm sure we could work on a comic.
I lost my train of thought there now. He does an amazing job, and he's doing so much, and he's got his full-time job. But it's not like most of us. We have to actually go out and earn a living during the day. And, as the will in the world, we all want to do this as full-time things. Well, I could do it. I'm retired. I've got a pension on top of what I'm paying. But, my wife did a deal with me. She said I could do all these projects if I only use the money I'm earning from my work, so I cannot retire again. So when I go into work every morning, it's to pay you two.
Keep working.
Yeah. Stay in work as long as you can.
It. So, the idea is she says I can retire, but I have to retire in my audiobooks. No, never happening. That'll happen when the day I die, and I'm hoping I'm going to be in the middle of the day I die. I hope Conor's going to be in the middle of recording something for me, and he's near the end, and I haven't paid him yet. That's my dream. That's my dream of my life.
David, let's have some offline conversations. We'll make sure that happens. I would be happy to facilitate that.
Well, I'll probably have a heart attack when he says he's putting his fees up to $30 per finished hour.
I mean, yeah, because I feel pretty out there at $15 per finished hour, but
super expensive.
Yeah,
really, like you're asking a lot, man.
But you got to do it for the passion of it, though. It's like when the first when a lot of people, because they know I've got 14 audiobooks out there now, and a lot of people do come to me and ask me about doing audiobooks, and I said, well, first of all, do you hope to make a profit from it? And they said yes. And I said, then don't do it. You have to. First of all, you make less royalty on an audiobook than you do on an ebook or paperback. I make 75 to 90 cents, depending on the retailer, per audiobook sold. The average ebook cost me between $2,500 and $3,000, depending on the narrator and the length of the book. I have to sell, 90 cents. Yeah, I have to sell sort of 2,000 to 3,000 books before I even make my audio books before I even make my money back.
Jeez.
It doesn't happen. I've literally, there's only one book that's paid for itself, and that's That Girl from Wagga. That has paid for itself. All the other audio books haven't yet paid for themselves, but I'm hoping out of A and B, if I get that popular, I'll get a new demographic of listener, because a lot of people who listen to this stuff don't necessarily read books. I'm catering to the hardcore sci-fi and fantasy fans that, would turn around and tell you, I don't want to read the last book of the Lord of the Rings in case it ruins the next movie for me. That's the demographic I'm going for here, where the previous demographic is the sort of like, oh my God, I can't watch that film until I've read the book.
Right.
So, when we do the promotions, it's not going to be like, at the moment, it goes out to people who read books, it goes out to things. It's not. It's going to be people who watch movies. If you like Battlestar Galactica, you're going to love Perceptions. Very inspired by Battlestar Galactica. Very inspired by everything you do is inspired, so I don't mind admitting it. Very Battlestar Galactica inspired, as well as other sci-fi shows. I've watched Blake Seven, Andromeda, probably before your time. Sounds
good.
Sounds good. Old man.
Back in my
just going
day.
to put old man alert flashing in the corner of this video when I start going off at an old man tangent.
So you mean constantly?
Yes, let me see you fuckwit.
I think we'll probably definitely have you back on when Above and Beyond is closer to coming out.
That would be awesome.
And that'll be great.
Yes.
You did mention one that I'm very excited for. That's going to be a lot of fun. Is Artemis is also going to be just a lot of fun. So if you wanted to speak a little on Artemis, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, Artemis. Artemis is based. The first one, I got to tell you these stories going back to how the book came about. I always said, and cringe if you like, I'm not a big fan of romance. And one of my writer friends said, "Oh, that's just because you can't write it." I said, "Challenge accepted." And so Artemis, obviously it started off, I came up with, sat there thinking, how am I going to write this romance? Obviously it turned into a urban fantasy rather than a straight up romance. It's about a god coming back after 2,000 years away. It turns out that the mythology is actually history. They didn't always get it right, which means I can actually change that history to fit my story. And she meets and falls in love with, surprise, surprise, I wrote this when I was in my 40s, a 40-year-old divorced IT nerd who lived in Crest Hill, Illinois. Oh, guess what? I was a 40-year-old. The character's totally based on me.
A self-insert?
Pardon?
A self-insert?
Yeah. The character was me. What would I do if I met a goddess? It turned into, I think it's supposed to be it's a comedy. It's supposed to not to be taken too seriously, and it's about a bit like you ever see the series Bewitched?
Oh yes,
with Samantha the witch.
Have I?
Yep.
It's very similar to that, of this woman trying to fit into American daily life. And the twist of it is, though, it turns out that he has to fit into her life as a goddess who's now got a cult that's going to go around with all these other gods. And first of all, first half of the book, she's just here alone. But then suddenly all the other gods come back and thinking, what the heck? You've got to remember also Artemis is the virgin goddess. She doesn't lie with a man. And one of the things that people tell me, you can't have her sleep with him. You can't have her sleep with him. Because, it'll destroy the character of Artemis. So apparently she's so amazing that every time he gets aroused by her, he passes out. And so she really does, they don't ever have sex in the book at all, but they have a relationship, and everything without that happening. And the story becomes like her family, Apollo and all this other. And you're Apollo, aren't you? Who are you in Artemis, Conor?
He is Apollo.
Apollo, yeah.
Apollo,
because somebody else went for that role, didn't they?
Several people went for all the roles.
Yeah.
The Yeah, but the one that went for that role
He knows.
got the main role, the biggest role, the most paying role.
Say again.
He's the narrator.
Yeah, I know.
The
Pity
guy who didn't
casting.
get
It's
Apollo,
fine.
he only got Apollo, didn't get Apollo because I wanted him for the narrator.
Pity casting. It's fine,
Pity
David.
casting.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. So
Yes,
anyway,
you will.
the story is just like, these characters. Like, I also wanted to step out of the box of it being a traditional Olympian gods. They all come back looking very different, and Apollo is inspired by Game of Thrones. You watch Game of Thrones?
Oh, yeah.
So-
Hey, Connor. There's a callback to the episode. Watch Game of Thrones?
Not yet. I haven't had
You
the
have
time.
to watch it, but stop before the final season. Stop once it goes beyond the books, because they couldn't write the
Got
shit
it.
once they went beyond the books. It's like, people thinking they can write TV series based on Tolkien. No, if you have the skill of Tolkien, then bloody well do that. But anyway, you're going to get me onto a tangent here. I'll get myself onto it. Where was it going?
Apollo's
Fuck
character.
knows.
Apollo's character is based off of.
Apollo's based on Peter Dinklage.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
he's about 4 foot tall, or 3 foot tall. He's a little dwarfy guy.
It's perfect. It's Connor in real life.
Aphrodite is supposed to have a similarity to Whoopi Goldberg. He actually states in it. He actually, as Alex turns around in the book and says, she looks like Whoopi Goldberg. So, the whole idea of beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
And I'd actually always had a fantasy years ago when I wrote it that maybe if I ever got to do a movie of this, if I could actually get Whoopi Goldberg to play that role.
Oh, that'd be good.
When she is actually in the book as Whoopi Goldberg. So when it comes to doing the series, I haven't worked out yet. Now, we were supposed to start that in September, but Tegan's had some health issues, and which is not my business to talk about, and she's overwhelmed with a lot of stuff. You've got to remember, she doesn't just produce A and B. She's also my editor. She also reads most of my audio books. She was getting overwhelmed with things, and I said, okay, let's postpone this till January. But with the narrator, which the lovely, handsome Matt Mangum's going to play, I'm not sure how we're going to go with it yet. I don't know whether to make him a demigod or something, telling the story, or some character in it. But it's not going to be a boring narration. You've seen what I do. It's not going to be a boring narration or an average narration.
Does the narrator die at the end?
I did talk to Tegan about how we could possibly work that just for the principle, but it won't work.
When people tell you that typecasting isn't real,
fuck it is.
I literally, I can't take the blame for this here, Matt, because I was highly encouraged by Conor and Dennis to give you dead man roles.
Yep. And Nels.
And Nels.
That happened.
So I stopped. I went to Tegan, and every time I got an issue, I go to Tegan. I said, look, I really want to give Nels the role of the narrator for Artemis, but that's going to ruin all the fun.
You mean Nels or Matt?
Matt, sorry. I want to give Matt the role of the narrator, but it's going to ruin all this fun where we get him to die every scene.
You've got to work it in there somehow.
I think it would be great. I think the other reason that I'm excited for this is that even in the audition for the narrator, it definitely was not a boring narrating role. There was a lot of chances to develop a lot of character in the narration, where the narrator himself is going to be pretty damn funny as well as the story coming into it. So when it all comes together, I think it's going to be a really good laugh.
It's going to be fun. There's one chapter in there called Ladies' Night, and it's before Artemis is getting married, and she's persuaded by one of her human consorts, you've got to go and have a hen night, and she finds this hen night really, really boring. And they encounter a mugger who actually hurts one of their people. So there's this whole scene where they're chasing this guy and let him get away because they could catch him instantly. But it's like a cat after a bird, toying with a bird. They're chasing this guy across New York City. Artemis and her two handmaidens, and he doesn't have a lot of lines. But there's a scene in it where he's going to be, spoilers are fine. People are going to remember this by the time it comes out. And there's a scene where she's got him and she's holding him over the Brooklyn Bridge. And he comes out and says, "Please, I will change my ways. I'll find Jesus." And she says, "Don't offer to work for the competition." And lets him go.
Nice.
Yes.
And I really was sitting there when I was looking through that, and I said, "This is Matt. Matt is going to fall from the Brooklyn Bridge and splatter." And to make it even more a bit disturbing, there happens to be a boat going underneath, so he doesn't actually hit the water.
Yes.
She said, I didn't mean for that to happen. And these are the things you can do with audio that you can make funny, which visuals don't, is when you suddenly make a revelation of something the reader can't see. And she turns around and says, "Oh, I didn't mean for that to happen. Oh, don't worry, I like red." But that was the convolutedness of doing Artemis, because if you actually look into the mythology, and I'm a mythology geek, and Artemis is such a contradiction. You read stories, pure evil, pure good. And so when I was trying to bring this all into it, I said, "Hey, a really nice woman with a short fuse. You can piss her off really quickly and her mood can change." And that's really it. And because originally the book was literally just told by Alex. And you never saw Artemis without Alex being around. And I thought there's so much opportunities when I published that book. I thought there's so many opportunities of Artemis is, literally bowing down to not piss him off because he doesn't want to upset the guy she's going out with. I thought this would be so much more fun if we could see her going off and beating the shit out of people, doing all the stuff her husband doesn't know, her boyfriend doesn't know she's doing, and being a badass goddess. So I rewrote the book with alternate switching between Artemis and Alex. And should tell you one thing that you've been just listening to. Conor will be reading as Alex with Tegan Burke for book 2, which is hopefully coming out in December.
Nice.
It's going to them in December. It's not coming out in December.
I'm not gonna lie. When you watch this back, there will be
discussed with him.
When you watch this back, there will be a momentary glimpse of what the fuck on my face.
Oh, it was there.
That's what made me backtrack and correct.
Go back a couple seconds, watch it again. Fucking what?
Well, I already said to you last night we'll work around whatever other projects you've got going on. Priority at this moment is going to be the A and B and Eve stuff.
Of course,
audiobooks can people are willing to wait for, but I was originally going to launch in March. I did realize that I'm not going to bring A and B in within 20 episodes as I planned. It's going to be between 20 and 30 episodes, which I think is crazy. But I would have to lose so much good material that I'll never be able to use again if I remove it now. So
you don't want to.
That's why I jumped on that as soon as you said that. I was like, "No, more. We need the whole story."
Everyone did that. And Tegan said to me, "Do you really think these narrators are going to vote for shortened contracts?"
She's got a point.
Well, there is that.
I wasn't even thinking about that, honestly, but that's hilarious. I just wanted more story because so far just sitting in some of the table reads and stuff, the writing and the interaction with characters
there is one storyline that I've cut that because it was too much, which does affect you, Matt. It was going to be Cartwright's story. We are going to bring it back into a different series if we're successful. So basically, there's a scene where Stacey goes off with Cartwright off screen, and she apparently sleeps with Cartwright. And then he files, because she's his commanding officer, he files a complaint about her sexual advances. And the storyline goes is basically they don't want this coming out, even if, because the argument is there's no way he can prove this, but mud is mud. And Stacey is a close friend with Jenna, so we don't want this to happen. So the job's given to Charlotte Kensit. And there's about 3 chapters in The Hand of Jenna where she's trying all this trickery and conniving to shut Cartwright up. And it's all constantly failing until eventually here they kill him. And spoilers. People aren't going to remember this. If anyone watching this is not going to start with book 10. Most people don't get to book 10. And Conor's promised me he's going to read one of my books for like 3 years now. And I even gave an audio book of a book he's reading the sequel of, and he's not listened to it.
I have. I'm making my way through it still.
I have. I started today.
Yeah. I've made it through a chapter.
It's a bit like saying quitting smoking's easy. I do it every day.
Cool. So I did want to chat about one more thing too. One other project that's going to be coming out. That's going to be awesome. And then I think we'll wrap some stuff up with where to find us and all that. And then I think that'll be the show. But another one that we really want to hear and can't wait for is The Pig Farmer's Daughter. That's
okay. So the time you're broadcasting, you're broadcasting this day. You're broadcasting this should be the day of its release, unless Conor's got his dates wrong again. So The Pig Farmer's Daughter is book 10, 11, I lose track, in Perception series.
I think it's 10.
It goes back into a popular character that, like if you heard Pandemic, you hear her referring to a friend who died. And it goes into her story. It's Harper Davis. She's best friends with Stacey. They're nothing alike. She's a little prim, proper girl. And comes from farming background in somewhere up north in Australia, a place called Home Hill. And the audiobook's going to be read by Tegan playing Harper, sorry. And it's very much goes back into her backstory. It is unique in the fact it's the first time I've written as a gay character. She was established early on that she was gay, and so when I came to write it, I'm kind of nervous about how people could react to that. I've got a couple of my gay friends who are in relationships reading it for me, but it's no different to writing as a girl, writing as a Jedi Knight. When people say to me, "Sorry, that's my phone message," I thought my phone was on silent. So, yeah, a lot of people would say that. Like, I've had a lot of crap from people that you can't write as certain characters if you don't experience it. And I'm thinking, did George Lucas ever be a Jedi? Yeah, he can write from their experiences. Tolkien was never a wizard. The fact is, I was never a girl. Doesn't mean to say I know about girls, That's kind of like one thing about The Pig Farmer's Daughter is it's the only character who's a pacifist, who's anti-war. She's doing her national service. She's got no choice, and she just wants to be a pig farmer back on the farm with their genetically enlarged pigs. That her family run the farm, and she never wants to be in it. She becomes a gunner in the Air Force because otherwise it's the infantry, which is like 80% death rate. And she's recommended to go for this career, because that's how she becomes an officer. Because conscripts. That again was based on my father's experience with national service back in the 50s. He literally went in the army in like 1950, and that's 5 years after the war. And 90% of officers post World War II were quitting. So literally on his first day, who's interested in being an officer? He thought about how much more money they get paid and took a step forward. And you have to do a basic exam to show you're literate. And that's how you became an officer in the army in the 1950s, because they didn't have any. And so I kind of had this idea that by this time, this war's been going on 20 years. All the experts and the brilliant people and the people who train, like Conor, a military guy, you did a lot of training before you went off and did whatever you did. But now we want you to. You died 18 years ago, what we've got left is the people that we originally said can't sign up, the old, the weak, the feeble, the ones that originally were told, oh, no, you're going to pass. You don't have to join the army, because we've killed off an entire generation of people by this time. And so she gets into this, despite not having the real skills to be an officer, she's not a leader. And she ends up in this situation where, if you know, it's a bit of a spoiler if you read the books, because for about 6 books you believe she's to be dead, and then it's revealed that she survived, and she's a prisoner of war.
Spoiler.
Yeah, spoilers. It's hard to talk about anything I'm doing now because without being spoilers. But mostly, this first book ends with her becoming a prisoner of war. It's all what leads up to it, and the book 2, Escape from Thalassia, is totally based on the movie The Great Escape.
Okay.
Nice.
So it's going to be, but
I understood that reference.
Yes, anyone who says they don't know The Great Escape, you know, really, really needs to get out of my life. It's one of the classic war films. If you like war films, it is the classic.
Yep.
Biggest, you know, most people you won't recognise now from this generation, but in the day, they were the mega stars. It was like having the Avengers in a war movie. You know, it was the big names, and you know, Steve McQueen, classic. And don't make any old comments. He was around before I was. I just watch older movies.
Because you have older tastes. Yes.
Hey, respect the classics, Con, unlike your generation that just has to have everything new.
I respect the classics. You know, films from the 90s, they're great.
There's one thing that reminds me, like, doing the Great Escape. One thing that also people don't realise until it's pointed out to them, each book is a different genre. Book 1 is straight up space opera. Book 2 is a comedy. Book 3 is a psychological thriller with Emma Dodson. Book 4 is book 4 is a kind of like a dystopian survival movie. Book 5 is a teen fiction because it's about young Bridget, 15-year-old Bridget. She's the main storyteller. 6 is a spy story. So each of them changes subgenre as you go through. It's really heck when you do that stupid little Amazon thing where you got to pick genres. They're all different. So yeah, you get a variety in it. Like they're not all military. Biggest criticisms I get, because the closest thing I can class it as is a space opera, but there's not enough fighting. There's not enough killing. A lot of it is talking. People talking. It's their relationships. It's like when people say to me, "Who's going to win the war?" I said, "Well, it doesn't really matter. That's not what the story's about. The war is not what the story's about. The war is about how these people deal with the war." And you'll get to this stage in the stories where it's very much a lot of people have criticism with the class of the space opera. But the reality is, and I'll say this, it's a soap opera. It's a total soap opera. That's how I can write so many of them. Because 90% of them is the character interactions. As long as I know what they're going to say to each other, I've got a book. You know, I could not write Miss Eve as fast as this. I could not write Artemis as fast as Conor knows. He's been waiting for a year for the agreement we had. I can't write The House of Maine this fast. But Perceptions is a soap opera. But you can't say that too publicly. You've got 53 subscribers, so I can say it here.
What? Motherfucker.
Oh, I'm not even mad.
No.
That was the best dig that a guest has ever given. That was
the best diss we've ever had.
Well done, sir. Now that is going to be the problem.
Bravo. Bravo. Fucking, that's not even in the back. That was straight there.
I'm constantly trying to think to myself, don't say these things, don't say these things, don't say these things. But sometimes they just come out. You can't help it.
You can definitely say
this is a safe place.
You're keeping that one in, are
with
you?
our 53 subscribers.
So, anyway.
Thank you, though, for each and every one of you that do subscribe. We appreciate you and love you.
Love you, tell your friends.
Don't leave.
Check us out on all podcast platforms.
I'm waiting until I see how this is edited and how it comes out, then I'll consider subscribing.
Anyway, speaking of this dickhead, where can we find you? Where can we find your projects? Where do we buy your books? All that good shit.
So you can buy my books from literally any online retailer. They're not on the bookshelves, but you can go into a bookstore and order them if you want to. Audio books are available at all audiobook retailers. You can get it on ACX, you can get it on Audible. But also, the one best thing I do point out, you can actually listen to the audio books absolutely, well, they're not absolutely free. They're included with a premium account of Spotify.
Mm.
So you can go and listen to my books. You get about 8 hours free, which most of my books will come, no, actually, most of them, I think 8 hours was a stupid idea because most books come in about 8.5 hours. And but I think they're doing that deliberately to get you to pay that little bit extra when you want extra minutes. But you can listen to them for free. I know a couple of my narrators, being tight asses that they are listening to it free rather than buy it. But the benefit is also I do get paid for it if you're listening to it. Not as much as if you buy it, but I get paid for it for the number of minutes.
So what I can do there is just I can turn my volume all the way down because I have Spotify Premium and just hit play and just let them run. So I don't actually have to listen.
I'd love you to do that.
No.
Understood. Everybody. No. Everybody who's got Spotify Premium that listens to this, all 52 of you.
It's so fantastic.
Obviously, we want you to listen to it. Because the people that are doing the audiobooks are fantastic at what they do, and David's writing is annoyingly actually pretty good. But if you don't want to listen to stuff overnight, just fucking pop it on play. If you've already listened to it, pop it on play overnight, let it play out. There we go.
That's going to go to Spotify now. I'm probably going to be banned.
Don't worry, David. Spotify aren't interested in us because we're just small time.
I don't know what the ratio is to Spotify listeners to Dis listeners, but you must be close by now.
All right, you know what? I think, God, man, I've had enough.
Yeah, I think
I've had enough of this motherfucker.
Yeah, it's 15:15 the freckle.
I did this as a favor to you guys. I didn't really want to be here.
Yeah.
It is all about keeping your narrators happy, and people say, look, Matt and Conor are whinging in the background. You haven't gone on Dis,
I think we mentioned once, we'd love to get you on an episode, and you, whether you meant it or not, your response was quite keen and eager. So
Oh, I used to have high expectations for this. You should not have encouraged me.
It's really just promotion that David's really wanting here. It's just very, very selfish. It's all about David.
I think you guys are doing a brilliant job here.
He is a diva.
Really fun things. I do have disagreements with you about some of your D&D stuff. I am starting a Traveller based on Perceptions game, but I've got to find time to actually work on it. But Traveller, Traveller and D&D. Traveller was back in like the 80s. Traveller was like the sci-fi answer to D&D.
Yes,
and it's still going. Believe it or not, I managed to find it.
So are you, despite the odds.
You'd be fortunate it won't be for much longer, probably. And
before this descends any further,
one day Tegan's going to come online and she's going to announce, David died last night, and you're going to be saying, shit, I wish I was nicer to that guy.
No,
that won't be a thing. If we were nice
David,
to you, David, we would.
I appreciate it. You guys, you've always got my support. It's fantastic working with you. You are.
We love working with you, to be fair.
And I do recommend anyone who's looking out there wants fun, interesting narrators. You can't look better than these two guys. Although I've never given out a book. But.
Thank you. And all shit aside, please check out David's works. He is a fantastic writer, and works with only the best talent. So really, really go check it out.
All going well. Pandemic will be out on Spotify now.
If the glitchy stuff is fixed, it should be out on Tuesday.
Which will be 2 weeks before. Yeah. It'll be out now by the time this airs.
It'll definitely be out by the time this airs. It's out now. It's out now, guys.
Go listen to it on
And so
Spotify.
is the Godfather's daughter, the Big Farmer's daughter.
Same thing.
I don't even know that title of my own bloody book. All right.
Right, David, thank you very much for joining us. We love you. We appreciate you. And hopefully, when we get to the top, we can bring some more people along for the ride. Well, that was a fucking long time with David. I don't need to talk to him for another fucking month. We hope you enjoyed that episode. I mean, to be fair, we give him shit. He gives us shit. That's how it works. But we have a lot of fun with David. Otherwise, we wouldn't be involved in all of his projects. Hopefully, at some point in the future, there will be a Tairis Anders Media website you can go to and apply to be part of the fantastic production crew or talent or something, because I genuinely believe this is going to go astronomical. Hopefully going to go. It will do. It's fucking incredible. And yeah, do go listen to it because we need to get paid. Please. Anyway, as always, we'll catch you on the next one and dish you later. Are you on the road to success in your voiceover career? If so, make sure you use Road
Every time.